going on YouTube? One LEX Ram here. Today we're going to review this 2016 Hellcat. Is a 6-speed manual. The interior, I have a suede with leather trim, and the reason I got the suede with leather trim is because these bucket seats are, wide. The bolsters are wide, so unlike cars like the Corvette or whatnot that hug you a little more, this doesn't hug you quite as much. So to keep myself planted in the seat, suede it is. So anyway, that's why I got this. Kind of explains a little bit. Today I'm also going up the mountain a little bit to kind of have a little fun while doing a review at the same time, and kind of chit chat a little bit about what's going on with this car. Right now I am in track mode. It stiffens up quite a bit. It's a noticeable difference between street and sport, which street is perfect. It's wonderful to drive street mode because it is soft and plush, and because it is a heavier car, you can smooth out a bumpy road pretty easily for a car that's supposed to be it's a muscle car. It's borderline sports car as well, because obviously it's got 700 horsepower, and a lot of people believe that because it's so heavy and so big that it can only do straight line turns, and or straight line and not turns, and unfortunately that is just not the case. Sport mode for driving around, it's a little more stiff. Also in sport mode, the traction control will let you roast the tires, but it's got a yaw control on it, so once the back end gets to a certain point, the traction control will start to kick in. Actually, stability control will start to kick in and bring you back. And it kind of saves you a little bit from, obviously overshooting a turn if you're trying to be a jackass a little bit or show off a little bit too much. Unfortunately, right now I'm behind a little van that doesn't want to do the speed limit, so a little boring. Anyways, so sport mode. Track mode, which I'm in right now, stiffens the suspension up a little bit, or a lot of it, like I just said, and instead of completely turning off all of the driver aids, it actually keeps you from spinning too hard in a turn. So if you try to do a burnout in track mode, it doesn't actually work, and it's pretty awesome, and I feel like it works just enough to keep you safe in a hard turn. And that is obviously important on the track. So a little bit of driving mode to talk about, and then the steering is hydraulic in this car. I had a 392 and that was electric, and you could obviously change between street, sport, and track, and there's a huge difference between the two. It's really easy to drive. Well, being that this is all hydraulic, you have a lot better feedback through it. It's tighter, it feels tighter. It's not super easy to turn at slow speeds, but once you speed up, you get a hell of a lot better feedback from the road and what the car is actually doing, which is obviously very important. Obviously on the track mode, keeping the back end under control is important, and if you romp on the throttle, it will spin a tad, but it won't be enough to be to see you spinning, at least from what I've experienced so far. I have 2,400 miles on this car. Thank you, Jesus. I have 2,400 miles on this car, and it's been very, very, very nice to drive so far, and I have done 2-3 hour long trips in it, and super comfortable. Again, it's got heated vented seats, so right now in Arizona it's obviously really hot. The vented seats are amazing. They blow really well to keep your backside real nice and cool, so they work really well. I've used the heated seats on my 392 before, and I had to keep them on low because they heat up quick. They definitely work very well for that particular function. A few more things about this car. There's, like I said, obviously 3 driving modes, which are great. There's also a power page. You can look at different gauges. You can look at how much power your engine's putting out. You can look at there we go. Let's hit this a little bit. Line. You can look at the G's you're hitting actually, and that is quite a feat. I have pulled a G laterally in this, and she's handled very well doing so, without breaking loose, I might add, which is also a very interesting little tidbit there, because you figure, again, it's a big heavy car, 700 horsepower, it's going to break loose a lot, and it really doesn't. I do feel like they need bigger tires in the back. At 275s, I feel like they're a little skinny. I would like something like a 305. Make it probably make a huge difference in how everything feels. And again, I'm behind a slow person. It's a trade-off. It's a beautiful day. Of course, people are going to be out here. Anyways, yeah, wider tires in the back would, I think, solve a good bit of issues. As far as body roll goes, there is some. Again, it is a little top heavy, but in track mode, it tightens up enough to where it's not a problem. I've been around Bondurant track with their professional drivers doing a hot lap, and we've entered turns well over 90 miles an hour, and this thing stayed planted, which is, again, hugely surprising. Most people don't think this car is something that can turn. I see so many reviews and so many comments on this car going, well, it can go straight, and that's about it. No, it can do more. Is it the best at it? No. Is it the best at going straight? No. It does everything as far as performance-wise and driving-wise very well, and it's a very fun car to drive. It gives you this smile that you get when you romp on it. You hear that whine going, you're like, oh my god, this is awesome. It has that feeling to it, and to me, when you drive a car, especially something like this, once you get one that does everything for you, to me it starts being boring. I equate this to motorcycles as well. Certain bikes do everything very well for you, and while that makes them very fast, they're just so boring to drive and ride. You're just like, alright, I know this is going to go this way. I know this is going to go this way. I know it's going to accelerate well. I know it's going to brake well, and this and that. And it's boring. I feel like you lose the driver aspect of it because the car is doing everything for you. And that's just something that I look for in a performance car is, I mean, what feeling inside does it give me? Does it scare me a little bit, honestly? Does it make me feel like I'm, the one controlling the car, or does it feel like I'm just sitting in the cockpit and it's doing stuff for me? And quite frankly, I like driving. I love driving. Let's say that. Driving is, it's just a great feeling. I remember ever since I got my license, I'm like, I want to be in control of whatever it is I'm piloting. And this car allows you to do that. There are driver aids, and they do work well. They don't take the excitement out of it, though. You can definitely screw up in this car. There's no doubt about that. You definitely can. If anybody's seen the videos of people that just buy these, and they romp on it, and they freaking, chinga them up. They mess them up pretty bad, because 700 horsepower is no joke. It's instant. It's supercharged, so the power is there as soon as you hit the gas. And I love that about this car. My 392 wasn't a slouch by any means. It was definitely fast, but it just lacked a little bit. It took a little more to get going. Again, it's a heavy car, so you need that extra power and that extra oomph from the supercharger to really kind of negate all of that. I've had friends of mine that have smaller cars that have less power, but they're smaller, and get in this thing and realize it is a boat. It's huge, but they go, man, this doesn't feel as big as it actually is. It feels way manageable. it feels much easier to control than they expected, and that is something that I love hearing because it surprises the shit out of people. I had an RT, a 2009 RT, and I could not say the same thing about it. It felt as big as it was. It did not handle, to me, for shit. It had too much squat when you accelerated hard. It had too much roll when you went around turns. It wasn't set up to do anything other than kind of cruise. And I feel like the stigma of these cars is exactly that. They're a hardcore muscle car. They can go straight, and that's it. Again, these SRT cars are far beyond that. They can go fast. They can brake hard. They can turn in hard, and they can stay planted when you do all of these things. Obviously, if you're jabbing at the throttle and you're not smooth on it, this car will break loose and the back end will go on you. It's going to happen. This car also does have understeer. I know it's surprising, but I've entered turns at about 90 miles an hour, and under braking, that's a lot of mass to slow down. Under braking, it will start to push the nose out a little bit, and obviously compensate for that and correct it. So it's not an insane problem. Obviously, I've been in other cars where the front end will just completely keep going and you will understeer the crap out of it. This, however, not nearly as bad. It's not nearly as pronounced. You can obviously always kick the back end around. It's not an issue. A lot of oversteer, but this car will understeer. Surprising again, but that's obviously the trade-off when you hit the brakes hard with the mass moving. It's going to start pushing you, and again, not a problem. Just understand how to drive it, and you'll be able to negate a lot of that. So all in all, I love this car. The issues that I feel that it has. Again, it does understeer a little bit because of its mass. The tires, especially the rear ones, need to be a little wider to really kind of control this power and make it more manageable. It's definitely manageable now, but it needs those wider tires to really get the grip down. Something that's really stupid that my 09 had it. Obviously, every car that they've done has this problem. There's not a key release for the fucking trunk. There's all electric release, and there's not a keyhole when the battery dies, which is in the trunk, to fix it. And you go, wait, how is it now 2016 that we have not fixed this problem? Dodge, put a little keyhole somewhere for the trunk, like by the license plate or something, hide it. Like the new Corvettes have a keyhole in the back, the bottom, that you can release if the battery dies. This car needs that. I know you go, well, there's jumper posts in the front. True. What if your nose all the way in a garage or something? You know, there's issues where you're going to need to get in the trunk, and the only way to pop it is, unless you jump it again, is to fold down the back seats, crawl through the trunk, and pop it that way. So please, let's figure out a place to put the keyhole. It's not hard. I mean, the key fobs come with a manual key. Why not put a keyhole for the trunk release? Just saying. But as far as my gripes go, there's very few, and aside from these people doing 25 miles an hour in a 35, I love driving this thing. The gas mileage, just go over that real quick. On the low side, I've gotten 13.9. That's staying in it, and that's having fun with it. On the high side, I've actually gotten 21 on the highway. At 6th gear, this car revs at like 2100 RPMs, which to me is a little high. The 392 and some other cars I've been in are usually like 15, 18, 1500, 1800. So that kind of plays into it. However, in 6th gear, at 80 miles an hour, this car will pull still. The only other vehicle that I've been in, I know there are other ones, they're saying that there aren't any. The only other car that I've had, and I'm sorry, not car, but vehicle that I have is my bike that pulls in 6th gear. And that is such a great feeling. I love the fact in 6th gear I can still pull away. Jesus Christ. These people are killing me right now. I'm trying to do a review and speed limit's 35, I'm doing 21, so yeah. I'm slightly annoyed. But anyways, yeah, those of you, I implore you to have someone that has this car or an SRT 392 and take a ride in it. You will be pleasantly surprised. Granted, if they aren't a good driver, then don't do it. They'll try to show off and they'll end up crinkling one up. But aside from that, yeah, if you're ever considering one of these cars, they're comfortable, they can go long distance and still be comfortable, they don't beat your guts out. They do the whole grand scheme of driving well. Are they perfect in turns? No. Are they perfect in speed? No. Are they perfect in comfortability? They're pretty close, honestly. There's a hell of a lot of room in here. You can fit someone my size, 6 foot, in the back seat and not be completely jammed up to where it's painful. So it does a lot of things very well. It does all things pretty good. So when you consider a car like this, unless you have it purpose-built for one thing only, then obviously go with that route. But if you're trying to daily drive, you're trying to drive all over the place, consider the fact that this thing is still comfortable. And the GT350 doesn't have the creature comforts that this does. It's fast, it's perfect for the track. Not driving. The Corvette is actually a lot more comfortable than I expected, but it is very tight. It's a very small cockpit of a car, so you don't have that freedom of movement that you do in this. Again, that has its own performance advantages over this. So again, when you're considering a car, this does everything very well, and I encourage you to see for yourselves what this car can really do if you ever get the opportunity. So with that, y'all have a good one. I hope you enjoy this little review, and I'm going to continue to go really slow up this freaking mountain because traffic. You guys have a good one.